What is up, guys? Soul Sports back here with another video. In today's video, I'm going to give my thoughts on the big 4-team, I think 15-player trade that happened just yesterday, late last night, and let's get into it. So I think this trade is the biggest trade we've had since Patrick Ewing was traded to Seattle in 2000, I believe. But if you didn't know, I'm just going to give you the quick rundown. So essentially, Robert Covington, Jordan Bell, Golden State Warriors 2024 second round pick was traded to the Rockets. The Atlanta Hawks received Clint Capela and Nene. The Timberwolves received Juancho Hernan-Gomez, Malik Beasley, Jared Vanderbilt, Evan Turner, and Brooklyn's 2020 first round pick. And the Nuggets received Gerald Green, Noah Vonleh, Shabazz Napier, Keita Bates-Diop, and Houston's 2020 first round pick. So a lot of moving parts, a lot of moving players, and I'm going to go with this team by team, give my thoughts on each, receivings, if that's even a word for each team, and give my ultimate winner of this trade. So let's start off with the Rockets. I don't know what the Rockets' plan is. I mean, you're getting Robert Covington, who's of course a great 3-and-D player, but what are you going to do at the center position? Right now, I think the only centers on the roster is Jordan Bell, if you even count him as a center. Maybe he's more like a power forward. Isaiah Hartenstein and Tyson Chandler, I believe. Now, Hartenstein is okay. I think he can definitely play, 15, 20 minutes a game, but Tyson Chandler is pretty old. Jordan Bell is not good. So when you're going, especially in the Western Conference, when you have teams with pretty great centers like the Denver Nuggets, who have Nikola Jokic, like the Los Angeles Lakers, who have a big man named Anthony Davis, like the Clippers, even with Montrezl Harrell, what are you going to do? Are you going to be playing PJ Tucker at the center position 35 minutes a game? I just don't think that's going to work out. Now, obviously, I'm going to take all this back if they do go out there and trade for another center, but at the time of this recording, there's like less than 24 hours left for until the trade deadline. I think there's 14 hours until the trade deadline, so they got to make something come up quick. I just don't know. This trade is like it confuses me for the Rockets. Clint Capela was like your only playable center in the playoffs, so I don't know what they're doing. But hey, I don't know what the Rockets are doing most of the time these days. Anyways, let's move on to the Hawks. So the Hawks received Clint Capela and Nene. Nene will probably not even play. He'll maybe even get waived or whatever. I don't know. But Clint Capela is obviously the cream of the crop. This is the meat and potatoes of this trade. For the Hawks, Clint Capela, he's cool. He's on a nice $14 million per year deal. I think it's for 4 more years or 3 more years, one or the other. He's still young. So you're getting Trae Young. You're solidifying that center spot, first off, because it was pretty bad before this. And they actually just made another trade too. They traded Alex Len and Jabari Parker for Dwayne Dedmon in a couple of seconds. Maybe I'll touch on that in another video, but either way, you're solidifying that center position for the future. Clint Capela should be a great pick and roll center alongside Trae Young. The front court of John Collins and Clint Capela, it can be kind of iffy because neither of those guys are like shooters at all. Both of them have similar play styles, I guess. John Collins and Clint Capela are both rim running bigs, super athletic. You can say Clint Capela is probably better at defense and rebounding, maybe. But I like it, I guess, for the Hawks. I mean, looking at the draft, you could have potentially gotten like a James Wiseman, the guy out of USC who I cannot pronounce his name. You guys know what I'm talking about. And I think they probably could have filled that role probably better, but it's not always a given that you'll land within the top 3 or the top 4, especially with the new lottery odds. And then in free agency, looking at centers, there is an Andre Drummond, but you're probably gonna have to pay Andre Drummond like 30 mil. Would you rather be paying Andre Drummond 30 mil, or would you rather pay Clint Capela 14 mil? I think I'd rather play Clint Capela. Montrezl Harrell is another guy, but all in all, I think it's a good move for you. You're getting your center of the future essentially. Yeah, I mean, it's a pretty good trade. Moving on now, let's talk about the Nuggets. So the Nuggets gave up players who they probably weren't going to re-sign either way. Malik Beasley, I know, is a restricted free agent at the end of this year. Definitely weren't going to re-sign him. Juancho Hernangomez and Jared Vanderbilt, they weren't really in the rotation, so you essentially gave up kind of nothing for Keita Bates-Diop. Can be a good rotational piece for you, and that Houston 2020 first round pick can net you maybe another impactful player. I don't know. This trade for the Nuggets, it's really just a pick if I'm looking at it. And Keita Bates-Diop, maybe. I like Keita Bates-Diop because, I'm a big Ohio State fan. He went to Ohio State, if you didn't know. But, yeah, it's really only that Houston 2020 pick that could potentially turn out to something. I don't know. And now for who I believe. Now, they call me crazy, but I believe the Minnesota Timberwolves came out as the winners in this deal. So, they received Juancho Hernangomez, Malik Beasley, Jared Vanderbilt, Evan Turner, and that Brooklyn pick this year, 2020. Let's talk about what they received. So Malik Beasley, shooting guard, combo guard at that, free agent at the end of this year, should definitely be a good rotational piece, at least for Minnesota. And I mean, this year's a wash anyway. So I like when teams that maybe their season isn't going as they expected, or the season is like a dud, they go out there and they try to acquire these low-costing young players, and they could potentially turn out to be pretty good pieces. Juancho Hernangomez was not really getting a lot of playing time in Denver. Now in Minnesota, he could turn into a nice rotational piece for you for the future. Jared Vanderbilt did not play at all. He's someone else who could potentially turn into a nice rotational piece. And then Malik Beasley will probably be the starting point guard for the remainder of the season at least. And then for the future, we'll see. I think he can definitely stick around on this team for a couple of years. They'll re-sign him this year. His market, he probably won't have a big market. And honestly, his price, he should be decently cheap. Maybe anywhere between 8 mil to 11 mil. I mean, for a starting point guard or maybe a backup point guard, 8 mil to 11 mil, that's decent. That's decent. But yeah, and I mean, I think the biggest part of this deal is that Brooklyn Nets 2020 first round pick. Now, this pick is lottery protected, and as it sits currently, the Brooklyn Nets are the 7th seed in the East, and they're not firmly in 7th. They could fall to 8th, but the difference between them, I believe, they're like 3.5 or 4.5 games ahead of the Bulls from the 9th seed. So I think they're pretty much locked into the playoffs unless some huge collapse happens. They're gonna make it. So that pick is gonna be like late teens ish. And this draft, you could definitely find yourself someone. I'm thinking of guys, maybe like a Jalen Smith could be a nice pickup for you with that 19th pick if he's still there. Or you can look to add another wing player. I don't know who'd be there off the top of my head, but you could definitely find yourself an impactful player. And at the very or not the very least, but something else you can do with this pick, you could package this pick with Andrew Wiggins and another future pick to move on from his contract, and then you're going into next season, or actually, hold on, you're going into the 2021 offseason where there's a lot of great free agency potentially if you move Andrew Wiggins with a ton of cap space, a superstar player in Karl-Anthony Towns, and hopefully, you end up with a high draft pick so you can have like an Anthony Edwards. Imagine this. You're going into the 2021 free agency with enough cap to, I don't know if you can sign, like the top guys, but you should be able to get a pretty decent free agent for the good price. Maybe if you're able to land like a Victor Oladipo. So this is hypotheticals. I love hypotheticals. So say you are able to move Andrew Wiggins and a couple of firsts for, I don't know, a guy on a 1-year deal or whatever. So now you're going into the 2021 free agency. Say you end up with a top pick. Let's say a top 3 pick. You draft Obi Toppin, So then you're going into 2021 with Malik Beasley, Jared Culver, Obi Toppin, and Karl-Anthony Towns as your core guys. Then you're probably going to need a forward, maybe a guard. You can potentially, and I don't think this will happen, but you can potentially snag like a Victor Oladipo. I'm just talking. But either way, you trade Wiggins, you're going to have a lot of cap space to hopefully sign some great, rotational guys, some great players overall, that'll help your team and hopefully help you make the playoffs, because Lord knows this team is struggling right now. This Timberwolves team is struggling, so I think they definitely came out with a dub in this trade. And yeah, I don't think they're done yet, though. I think maybe they'll look to make one more move, potentially, maybe we see Wiggins move tomorrow, or not tomorrow, but when you see this, it'll be the day of, so in a few hours. I don't know. But that's gonna do it for this video, guys. I hope you guys did enjoy. Please let me know down below in the comments who you guys think won this trade, and give me your predictions on maybe another player that you think will be traded. Another trade just went down. Iguodala was just traded to the Miami Heat, but we don't know the full details yet, so I'll make a video as soon as we know who's being set. I know Justice Winslow was included, but they're trying to create like a 3-team trade with OKC and stuff, so I'll definitely make a video on that. But yeah, appreciate you guys. Thank you guys for everything. Hope you guys did enjoy this video, and it's So Sports, and I'm out. Peace.